Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. On this one we're going to be talking about interactions, mesh colliders, and mesh rendering when it comes to Unity. As you all know, I've been working on a project where I am using a combination of Blender, Unity, and the SDK process with Spatial inside of Unity. And I've run into the problem of objects that would no longer be shown in the space, but then you're still running into it. So, when I would turn this off, turning off structural, turning off architectural, all those things disappeared, but I'm still running into the wall that was right here. Um, and I've already made those adjustments, but I'm going to show you really fast that process. So I've made those adjustments. I just turned the walkways off by clicking that button. And we no longer see them, right? Um, or it actually happened automatically in structural and architectural, but I'm still walking on. Oh, one second. Okay, we're back. I made the adjustment to structural and architectural, which is why those disappeared on, and I wasn't running into it. So, like I showed you before, I would run into the wall whenever it disappear, because I only changed the mesh rendering and not the mesh collider. So I just wanted to show you turning off all the walkways. So you see those glass walkways there and the other inclined plane over up and to the left of my sandbox. When I click this button, I haven't made the update to this panel yet. So when I click that, I come over here and I'm still walking on it. I'm still running into it. So the physics haven't changed. So I wanted to record this video to be able to show the difference between that and then this, for example. When I turn these two off, it is updated to where those no longer show up. When I turn architectural off, this shows up, so that's why we're still walking on it, because it's re-rendering and re-colliding, but now we're no longer running into the other walkway that I had set up. So I wanted to show that process. So coming over into Unity, we have our interactions. If you've looked up any videos on how interactions work, you've seen where you add a mesh filter or renderer, and you can change colors, you can change what's shown, but you also need to change the physics of it if you want to be able to go through it when it's not there. So you can see here I've already made the adjustment to structural, where I originally had just filtered the mesh, but you also need to be removing the collider. So when you come here, you're going down to mesh collider as well as filter. So you have to do both. So the mesh filter will make it to where you no longer see it doing mesh, or shared mesh, either one works. And then doing collider where you do mesh, shared mesh. So you do both. Haven't made the adjustment, and I also made the adjustment to this one just to show sometimes I had to do this because I had different decimations in Blender, so I had to make that many different ones. That's how much I've decimated that set of objects. Couldn't combine them any further than that. I wish I could have simplified it more. But I've made the update so when architectural's turned off, both the rendering is turned off for none, and then also the collider is turned off for none. And then when you turn it back on, you have to go and find the mesh associated with it. And I'll talk more about that in a second. But going over to my walkways panel, I'm going to show the process of that. So I originally had filtered the meshes out, but I did not change the physics of it. So we have these three objects, And the easiest and fastest way to do this is to click where you already have it, structural walkway. If I don't already have this part, then I'm just going to search for structural walkway and this left hand side. Finding it in the bottom panel, in the project panel, does not work. So you need to go into your hierarchy and find it there. But I already have it, so I am dragging it over each one. And then I'm going to go to the mesh collider, shared mesh, and leave them to none, because that is the purpose of this panel, is to turn off all the walkways as soon as they load into this area. And if something doesn't have a collider on it, you don't need it to be a physics thing, it's just a demonstration, people can walk through it and that's okay. Then you don't need to add the second step of the collider. For example, on the architectural panel, we have furniture, and we need it to no longer be displayed. So that's all the furniture, like that's furniture. Those chairs and these desks, those are all furniture. And those are combined and added as separate meshes depending on how much I decimated them. So I need to turn them off, but I don't need to do the collider part because there is no collider. When I go down to function, there is no collider option because there's not a collider. And if you don't see that, then you should know that, hey, this is something that people can just pass through. So if it was like floors, for example, you want a collider so that they're running on the floor always. And this would be a really clear indicator of there being an issue. So that's another way to problem solve what might be going on in your model, is adding that collider to that set of objects. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to be able to show that to you all, and let me go ahead and test this. You can exit now if you just wanted the streamlined process of how that goes, but I'm going to show you what happened when I made that adjustment to walkways panel. And this is going to be similar in Engage. I'm sure their SDK process is very similar. And if not, then you're using the baseline interaction in Unity, which would be, I don't know, there's something, it's an event. It's some kind of event in here that you're able to do. It's not an event system. It might be a toggle, I think. I don't know. There's other videos on this, and I'll share it in a document of useful videos that I watched. But it doesn't work with the SDK process for Spatial, so I wasn't able to use that. And that might be the process for Engage. I haven't explored it too much. But showing that update, I click this button, and no longer am I going to be walking on nothing because I turned off the mesh collider, which is different from the mesh renderer. Hope this was helpful and made this process a lot faster for you. So clicking those pieces on the right hand side that you've already found, either looking for the material, so let's just change this to none real fast. This is how it shows up originally, and then you'll click this little button on the right hand side, and you're going to look up just exactly what the object is. So and it should pop right up, cast in place, and that's how you add that. So filtering the mesh, visibility and then the physics of it as well. Thank you.